Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. This is the channel where we dive into all different types of topics in the world of pop culture, if you will, movies, anime, comic books, and as you can see here, wrestling, music, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you're clicking the buttons below the video, showing that mad love for the channel. We appreciate all you subscribers and everybody commenting on the videos, hitting the like button, everything like that. Really does mean a lot to us, and that engagement always helps the channel and helps to get the videos out to more people like yourself so we can keep growing this community and talk about the things that we love and get away from the crazy world that we live in today for a little while. But today, better late than never, got a chance to check out the AEW All In 2024 pay-per-view over the weekend and everything like that before I went into work, and finally got a chance to get around to this because I was working on some other stuff. But here we are here talking about AEW's All In for 2024. This is the yearly event they're doing now. They started this in 2023 in Wembley Stadium in London, which they did it in the same venue this year as well. And, they've been building up to it all summer and mostly all year long in a certain aspect as well. They're going to be doing the next one in Texas, actually. But we're going to dive into all the matches, kind of what I thought about it, the storylines, the actual wrestling, obviously, where things might go in the future and all that, and just give a quick recap and review for each of the matches and speculate a little bit towards the end where we think things are going to go with some of the major championships taking, changing hands and, different people getting title opportunities, different people now getting signed to AEW, being all elite. So a lot of spoilers are going to follow in this video. This is definitely one of, but not our first, our first main wrestling video on the channel. So for those that don't know, I've been a wrestling fan on and off for the past 20 years. Mostly been back into it for the last 3 to 4 years pretty consistently. I also watch WWE fairly often as well when I can. I get the pay-per-views lumped into my Peacock subscription. So I usually watch most of those. And then I watch week to week on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown when I can. I generally watch AEW's their weekly events like Dynamite on Wednesday nights if I can live or catch up on the replay. I don't watch Rampage necessarily every week because the cards are a little bit weak, if I'm being honest. But Collision I usually watch generally every week as well. It's a little bit more up and down these days. Started off really strong, but I generally try to keep up with all this stuff because a lot more of it's working than wasn't. But I definitely don't think this is necessarily AEW's heyday. But I think that they are kind of building back to getting that consistency across the board in their booking and things like that, and getting the storylines and everything going involved. The wrestling's always pretty fantastic from almost every single person, because we're going to get into that too. But overall, most of the wrestlers on the roster that do get a chance to shine on TV from week to week and from month to month and things like that are delivering good performances. 9 times out of 10, I would say at least 8 out of 10, 8, 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? And yeah, so why don't we go ahead and dive all into this one? And the first match we're going to get into, to me, was by far the weakest match of the pay-per-view, featuring the weakest main wrestler of the AEW roster. And I'm talking about Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. And I'm not a big fan of this title to begin with. I think it's kind of dumb in one way for AEW, because I don't think that necessarily their women's division is so strong where they're at a place where they can have multiple championships and they have like all this top tier talent that necessarily would call for this. There's an AEW Women's Championship that Toni Storm was currently holding at the beginning of this event, obviously. Get all the women in the division on that, build that out first, and then they should have did this later. And I get it's out of respect and for the legacy of TBS with, WCW and all that different stuff throughout the 90s and 80s over the years. I understand that's the kind of legacy that they're trying to live up to, and they're kind of following in the footsteps of. AEW is very much on big on nostalgia and fandom. Tony Khan, the CEO, the owner of the company, is a huge wrestling fan, grew up a fan of the business. So him getting into the business, a lot of that was his fandom and passion for it going into it, not just his business sense, because he also owns sport teams and things like that. So obviously the guy is quite wealthy. But that's the thing here with AEW. That's why they got this TBS title. And to me, other than when Jade had her crazy 50-summon run, you know what I'm saying? I think Chris Statlander had a really good reign with the title as well. But overall, all the title reigns to me with TBS have been very weak to just very uninteresting. And I don't understand why they're splitting the women's division like this when they should all be going for the main prize and developing that out before they get all these secondary titles. Because that's the way WWE did it back in the day. Even when there was WWF, they had the Divas Championship, and then it turned into the Women's Championship. Then they started developing the tag teams and stuff within the last 10 to 15 years. as the women's division started getting steeper and getting more consistent and getting more into the wrestling as opposed to the diva sexy side of things from the 90s and early 2000s and even some of the 80s, right? So as that women's division over there in WWE went through the whole four horsewomen, which did include Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, who is the champion of this match and all that stuff. But just a little bit of background right there, right? So we know Mercedes Moné comes from cachet. We know she can wrestle. We know she's a legitimate talent, and especially on the microphone is very strong. A lot of people have been very underwhelmed with her performance so far in AEW, myself included. I don't think all the performances have been bad in the ring. I just don't think it's hitting the heights of what we've seen her do in the past with the Charlotte Flairs, with the Becky Lynches, with the Baileys, all that stuff. Here, this championship reign has not been that crazy. Her match with Stephanie Verkeer when she got the New Japan Wrestling Women's Championship or whatever, when she became double belted right now, which is a pretty cool distinction and achievement to have as a wrestler. Not everyone gets 2 championships at once. Dustin Rhodes is one of the ones that has it right now. Different people like that have done it over the years, but not everyone gets a chance to do that. So that was a pretty big deal, and is a pretty big deal. The build up to this match with her and Britt Baker, the overall rivalry or program, as they say in the wrestling business, has been okay. I think it's been a little more up and down, but got a lot. It got started off really good, kind of had a little bit of a weird middle period there, and then the build up to this, minus the physicality on this past week's Dynamite, was good. I thought the whole segment, the way that they were going at each other on the mic, was really, really awesome and really engaging for the most part. I even think that Britt Baker kind of roasted her ass on the mic, actually. So I think Britt was actually coming up looking a little bit better in the situation. But once the physicality comes into play, Britt Baker doesn't deliver. Now, I think she's better than she was in 2020, 2019 when she first started with AEW, right? But I don't think she's necessarily has that skill set like a lot of the other women do have on the AEW roster and in Ring of Honor, especially. Her wrestling is very subpar to me. She's always super slow to get to certain things going on. The choreography always feels very stilted, and it always feels very like low energy with her in the ring, unless she's with some really other strong wrestlers, like when she was with Jamie Hayter doing tag teams and triple and trios matches and things like that. That's where I thought a little bit more of her wrestling was kind of showing, and I felt like she was stepping up to the plate a little bit more because she wanted to kind of keep some of that shine, of course. But I don't think she's really been stepping up to the plate in singles since she's been back from her injury. And I think even prior to that in 2023, 2022, except for when she was in the ring with Jamie Hayter a little bit, I don't really think. And when she did have her rival, her whole storyline with Thunder Rosa, I thought she did have some of her best performances where they were actually really solid. But this stuff with Mercedes Moné on this pay-per-view was fucking weak sauce, man. So slow to get to different counters and different maneuvers that they were doing, and the choreography was so fucking slow and stilted. There was no hype in the arena for this match, and there was 40 or 50,000 people in fucking Wembley Stadium, bro, looking like the Taylor Swift concert going on over there just this past week right now, like just the other day. Come on, man. Like, there's no hype for this match. And the fact that they put this match, because I'm not going in these in order, I'm going from my interest. The fact that they put this match chronologically in the event right after I think right after MJF and Will Ospreay's match, if I remember correctly. Come on, man. That was one of the biggest bangers of the year right there. One of the best matches of AEW pay-per-view all year long. One of the best matches in general in a long time. And you're going to follow it up with this? Fucking terrible planning. And I'm telling you, man, Britt Baker doesn't deliver. She's not delivering in these fucking big in these big game scenarios. She's not delivering on these big time things. And I'm glad that Mercedes got to keep the belt, and we're not going to get a bunch of these fucking lame ass title defenses with Britt Baker, because she doesn't have the goods, man. Either she needs to like really step it up, or she needs to fall back and become a manager or character or something, because only her mic skills are what's really bringing it in. She cuts a great promo, but her wrestling sucks, in my opinion, bro. It sucks. I've never seen a fucking match that sloppy with Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Moné, in this situation. Ever, man. Not in anything I've ever watched. Not that I watched all her matches throughout the 2010s and all that, but what I went back to watch, what I've seen live, even her stuff with Willow Nightingale, much better than this. And I give Willow Nightingale all the credit in the world. I think she's actually a really, really good wrestler. But this shit right here, fucking lame and boring. Lame as shit, dude, because most of this pay-per-view was surprisingly good or fucking delivering on where we thought it would. but a couple matches actually ended up really surprising me and really getting me involved in what was going on, and had a lot of really fun surprises and another great reveal that was heavily rumored, but was still a great payoff and had some of the coolest matches and some of the coolest moments of the night. Not this fucking match right here. This shit was whack. I'm telling you, man. I want Jamie and another thing too with the pre-show. Jamie Hayter is officially back and does appear to be cleared and is back in action. She's going after Saraya, with her coming out demanding her big moment in Wembley and all that. Obviously, after she won the women's title last year, but she's not even getting over right now. So that's another conversation that we can have another day. But Jamie Hayter's back, and I want to see her kick Britt's ass and then get to that TBS or that women's title immediately and get some really dope wrestlers like her, Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, even Hikaru Shida, and get those people. Where the hell's Red Velvet? Where the hell is Queen Amanada? Get them back from Ring of Honor into this shit. You need to get Britt out. It's fucking lame. I get she's popular. I get she brings in people in the seat, so I understand to a point. But, dude, she needs to start delivering, because there's a lot of rumors and things of her having problems with people backstage, including Jamie Hayter. And if she's driving away big talent that actually can deliver good wrestling, why the people come there, come on, man. We can't do this all in storylines. This ain't WWE in 2011, all right? You got to fucking deliver on the wrestling, okay? So that's my thing. This match, fucking thumbs down. I did not like this match at all. But getting into the next one, this one was what I thought it would be. Entertaining and fun. The four-way trios championship match with the Patriarchy, the Bang Bang Gang, aka Bullet Club Gold. I don't know why they changed the name. House of Black, and then it was revealed this past week after they qualified for the event and all that. Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac, essentially Blackpool Combat Club with Pac, came together to get the trios championships and to go in for this thing. And surprisingly enough, they actually won. They became the new trios champions. I did not predict that. I did not see that coming at all. And I think part of that was Pac wanting to have his big Wembley moment when he didn't get to have it last year. And I think that Tony Khan and everyone involved in the booking sees the value that Pac brings with the skill set and all that stuff. And with, having a good amount of, hype with the fans, not necessarily being the most over I've seen out of anybody in there. He's not getting Will Ospreay or MJF chance or anything, but he's a solid wrestler that delivers good performances every time and can cut a pretty good promo too. So maybe this was just something that they wanted to do as a favor to him. Whatever. Claudio Castagnoli potentially too, because he's one of the best wrestlers they got in their roster right now. But yeah, man, this was a fun match. I don't think this was necessarily like great, excellent work going on or anything. It was fun. It was somewhat surprising because the Patriarchy didn't cheat somehow and actually were able to win with this ladders style match and whatever. But it was an entertaining match for sure. It was solid, but definitely don't think this was necessarily top tier or anything like that. It wasn't embarrassing. Wasn't something they didn't necessarily need to cut off of the match card, but I understand you need to fill it in. But the trios overall division right now needs a little bit of a rejuvenation. So hopefully this will lead to that in the latter half of this last quarter of the year as we kind of get into September. Hopefully through these last few pay-per-views like All Out, Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and the World's End, which would be like the last 4 big pay-per-views of the year if AEW stays to the same format that they did last year. So hopefully within those 4 events and different things like that coming up, they can kind of rejuvenate the trios championships, because in 2023 with the Elite, which was Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks at the time, Lucha Bros, Best of 8 or whatever the hell the series was, that was phenomenal. And all the stuff going on with Death Triangle during their reign and things transitioning into the House of Black getting their reign, which was really awesome. Like, that was the best time for trios in AEW. And it's been about a year or so since we've seen those heights. So hopefully this match will lead to that. But, just a single thumbs up for me. It's okay. It was a good match, not too bad. This one right here, we're not going to get into this one that I have on screen quite yet. I'm going to get into 2 other matches that I could not find the graphic for. I don't know why. But we're going to get into, I almost forgot about what the match was because I barely cared about it at all, because they've been dragging this damn rivalry out all year long. And I'm talking about Chris Jericho versus Hook for the FTW title. Here's the thing. It was okay. It was whatever. Things kind of played out the way we thought. Hook ended up winning the belt by the end of the thing. I think he needs to, with respect, retire that belt and go for a TNT championship, go for the international title, go for something that actually has some value and cachet, in AEW that's an actual championship. I get it. No disrespect to Taz. He's a legend in ECW and of the game. Love his commentary every week on the show that he's on. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for Taz, and I think he's awesome. But the FTW title is something of a bygone era. I barely came into the picture even enough time to really know what the hell that was and what it was. And even in that initial first run in WWE, as it transitioned from WWF in the early 2000s, in the Ruthless Aggression era, as we have dubbed it, I never thought that there was really the coolest championship out there, to be honest. I think back in the origins of when it was created, the Fuck the World Championship, all that, the whole attitude and the aura behind it from the 90s, I think was a cool time for that belt, but I just don't think we've ever gotten back to those heights ever with any of the people that won it, like Ricky Starks or any of that stuff. So for me, I just hope they just retire that belt and make it inactive and get it out of here. Stop taking up room on the card for something that isn't really even necessarily a legitimate championship. A little silly in my mind. Another thing, they've been dragging out this fucking program between Jericho and Hook almost all fucking year. And I'm so over it, man. It's boring, bro. Like, I love Jericho. Jericho is literally in my top 10 wrestlers of all time. I think he is one of the most creative wrestlers and one of the few that's been able to actually reinvent his gimmick for 25, 30 years. And rarely does it ever, if ever, get stale or uninteresting with Jericho. Rarely. I would say some of the stuff in AEW is really one of the first times, other than some of the PG era of WWE, that I was kind of disinterested in what Chris Jericho was doing. This whole learning tree gimmick started off kind of fun. The whole, hey guys, the whole thing with him acting like super nice and upbeat and like all bubbly, but being an asshole really underneath the surface was fun. But it also felt a little bit, kind of like, he was biting off of what the Young Bucks were doing, especially Matt Jackson, the younger brother of the two Young Bucks. I actually think he's been very kind of biting off that style a little bit. And I do think Jericho always brings his own vibe to things, but this one feels a little bit more, I'm forgetting the word right now, but derivative. There you go. It's a little derivative of other things I've been seeing going on recently. But overall, I love Jericho. Hook, I'm not really a big fan of either. I think he's just a whatever wrestler. He has some interesting moveset at times, you know what I mean? He's a lot stronger than he kind of appears. He's not too bad on the mic, but I don't think he's necessarily super good either. But I've just never been into Hook. For some reason, AEW fan base just seems to love Hook. I don't know why, if it's just his relation to Taz or what the case is. He has a great entrance theme with Action Bronson and all that. I don't know. But it's whatever, I'm just not that into Hook as a wrestler, and I just think this whole rivalry they've been having to try to get him over, I think, is really the purpose of what Jericho's trying to do, out of respect for Taz behind the scenes outside of kayfabe, but I just don't think it's working. I think they need to get Jericho into some kind of get him going with MJF, get him going with somebody that's got more heat, something going on where there's more of an interesting thing to play off of. And I think break up this learning tree and get Jericho solo and let him just do his own thing for a while. I think just let him be that lone star, kind of going out, doing his thing, being the show, just pulling out the great promos, doing the good wrestling. Because I still think his wrestling is always good, for the most part. I think he's at times where he dipped a little bit and got a little more complacent. But overall, Jericho's delivered some awesome performances in AEW within the last year or so. So don't want to take credit away from where it's due. But just don't think that match was really all that exciting, if I'm being honest. You know what I'm saying? Just got to keep it real. And then we're going to get into the coffin match with Darby Allin and Jack Perry, which to me was a solid match. I actually think I was a little teensy bit underwhelmed because generally with the coffin matches in the past with Darby Allin, even with people like Ethan Page, who were very mid wrestlers, I thought were some phenomenal matches. This one to me is probably the weakest of the bunch of the coffin matches, but overall it was still good. Had some really fun creative stuff like with Darby gluing the thumbtacks to his face and all that fun stuff. There were still some really cool moments. I think Jack Perry overall is taking himself a bit too seriously as a character. If he would have a little bit more of a wink and a nod with it, not be funny, but just I think if he would just loosen up a little bit and merge a little more of what his old personality was as a face with the heel and bringing a little bit of edge to his character, which I do understand, wanting to get away from Jungle Boy. I get it. But I think there's a way to merge the two where he can be a heel, but just be a little more appealing or just a little bit, just don't be so self-serious. I think he's really taking away from the potential of what he could be doing as a character by going that route. He doesn't have enough edge to pull that off. I think he needs to kind of blend more into his real personality with just a different aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like merge the two worlds a little bit. I think there's a way Jack Perry will be able to figure it out. I like him being in the Elite, but he's just kind of more of a stooge at the moment. And I like that he designed his own TNT belt design. I think that's cool. And I hope they let him keep the belt for a while so they can get some more legitimacy on the TNT and keep that going. Because Christian Cage did that for the belt with him and Adam Copeland, aka Edge. They had a great program and really got that belt over and got it a lot more legitimate after fucking Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs and all these people were playing tag and throwing it back and forth like hot potato with the damn thing. And speaking of which, where the hell's Powerhouse Hobbs and fucking Wardlow? Those guys are great. Where are they at? Cutting promos, doing crazy wrestling, super strong, getting everything going. Great entrance themes and great gimmicks going on. Where the hell are those guys at? This is what I be talking about with AEW sometimes. I don't get it. It confuses me. I'm a fan, but I get confused and sometimes a little frustrated. But overall, the Jack Perry and Darby Allin match, pretty solid. Pretty solid. I'll give it a single thumbs up. It was good. It was good. But this one right here, surprisingly a little bit better than I thought because the Young Bucks are dialed in and FTR, as usual, delivers a good performance with the triple threat for the tag team titles. The first title defense since the Bucks have had a belt, which is another problem that they've been having. Too much gimmick over wrestling. Come on, man. The Young Bucks are known for their high-flying wrestling. And when I love the character work they're doing as heels and everything with the corporate angle, they're doing a great job with it, doing their Vince McMahon thing, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I'm not trying to put that weird taintedness onto them. I'm not trying to do that. But just that's the kind of angle and character they're kind of going for. So I'm just kind of a little bit of a Shane McMahon kind of thing going on. So I'm just, kind of calling it as I'm seeing it, not saying that they act like those guys or act like Vince off camera or anything. I'm not saying that. But, just saying that the character feels very much that's what they're inspired by, right? So with them being inspired by all that old Vince McMahon corporate angle stuff, fucking over certain wrestlers they don't like and all that. The whole angle's been fun and everything to watch, but I just think that the Bucks have not been actually defending the belts, which to me is also stupid and kind of lame because it's like you want your tag team, you want your champions out there wrestling at least every few weeks and getting your stuff out there. Swerve has been an amazing fighting singles champion for the AEW World Championship. Awesome stuff. Orange Cassidy with the international title. Also, MJF last year, the last year and a half or so, back in 2023, going back to 2022, when he was champion for a year, a little over a year. So I thought his run was really awesome. He literally wrestled and went so hard that he ended up getting multiple injuries and was still trying to fight through them and sustain them into the early parts of 24. So that to me showed a lot of respect and made MJF really show that he is a workhorse and is a great character and really does have that whole package. So seeing MJF really put in the work with that and seeing Swerve do that with the singles has been awesome. And I'm missing that from the tag team belts because FTR did that when they had the belts. Even the Acclaimed wrestled quite a bit when they were tag team champs. So I wouldn't even have minded if they won. Even though the gimmick's getting a little stale, I still prefer them because they're more willing to get out there and really earn it and really put their bodies out there and really just put in that work. The Bucks seem to have gotten a little bit more complacent, and I understand it. They're EVPs in actual real life too, like they are some of the founding fathers of AEW. They are one of the pillars. I understand, but they are getting a bit complacent and I think getting a little bit lazy with the run. So I hope they start wrestling just a bit more in this latter half of the year as they have the belts for however much longer they'll have them for their reign. Because when they're dialed in like they were on this night, on this day for All In London, dude, it was awesome getting to see the crazy ass jumping from the second rope, doing hurricane ranas into fucking shoulder rolls and fucking drop kicks. And it was just awesome, dude. Like just vintage Young Bucks really going for it and really having a good thing. And FTR definitely delivered. The Acclaim were solid. I don't think they're necessarily as good of wrestlers as these other two teams. So I always think their stuff's a little bit more generic, but they still bring a lot of that star power and the entertainment angle to their matches. So that's where I have a lot of fun watching those guys. They bring in they have like a perfect blend of the two. They're not the best technical wrestlers, but they're not necessarily the best characters, but they do understand character work and how to get the crowd involved and how to get the crowd hyped. That's one thing that they excel at. So I think that's the one reason why the Acclaimed have stayed around on TV and have that lasting power because their chemistry works in the ring, on the mic, and everything like that. And they just have a genuine gimmick that isn't too forced, but also isn't so over the top that you start getting disinterested in it either. But it's not so lazy where you don't give a shit. It's like it's in a weird like limbo kind of spot. But I do think they need something to kind of a new wrinkle in it to kind of rejuvenate it just a little bit because I think it is getting a bit stale overall gimmick wise. But the wrestling's still solid and they still put themselves out there and put in the work. So nothing but love for the Acclaim. Nothing but love for all these teams. I just want to, critique the Bucks a little bit and just let them know that us fans, we're paying attention, we're watching. We love you guys. We love seeing you involved. We love the character work, but we need to see you guys put in a little bit more work if you're going to be champions of the tag team division. And we need to see the tag team division get a little bit of a reboot, get a little bit of a jump, get those get those wires, jumpstart this engine a little bit. That's all. But it was a solid match. Definitely a double thumbs up for me on that one. This match right here was a fucking shocker, dude. The Casino Gauntlet match. There was 10 competitors in there, and let me make sure to read them off so I don't miss anybody on this thing, because this thing was crazy, man. They had 10 different competitors. I'm going to read them off just to make sure I don't get anything wrong here. I'm not going to go necessarily go in order when they came out, but anyway, we had Orange Cassidy, Kazuchika Okada, Hangman Adam Page, Nigel McGuinness getting back in the ring for the first time in years from his Ring of Honor days, so that was really fun to see. Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr., Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, them boys, you know what I'm saying? Jeff Jarrett, Last Outlaw, Ricochet, that's right, baby. Ricochet from WWE is all elite officially. That's been a big rumor going on for the last several weeks. I'm not super familiar with Ricochet. I've heard of him. I watched him one time before, I think in last year's WrestleMania or something of that nature. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. I don't remember all the wrestling match cards for WrestleMania. It's a lot of stuff going on, man. I got a lot of things going on today. I'm a grown man. It ain't like 2004 when I'm watching WrestleMania 20. I got a lot of things going on. But Ricochet, I knew, is a good wrestler, and people were very excited to see him come into this. And this was pretty much all but confirmed going into the Casino Gauntlet. But Ricochet is all elite. He came in and had some of the coolest fucking moments of the night. Everybody was killing it. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus came in there just for some bullshit at the end that we'll get into. But everyone else, all 8 other competitors, including Ricochet, were fucking killing it. They were fucking killing it, dude. There was so much great chaos going on. So much cool, different people coming out. We didn't know everyone that was coming out, so it was a lot of fun surprises. Nigel McGuinness didn't miss a beat, and I'm hoping he stays active in AEW quite often because his commentary is great, and he understands character work and can play a heel perfectly. I want to see him getting teamed up with Swerve and all that because they had great chemistry in that damn interview segment this past week on Dynamite, hyping up the main event. Nigel McGuinness has been one of the funner additions to the AEW brand as a show and everything like that. So I hope he really does stay active again and does some more stuff, because him versus Bryan for the belt, that would even be fun. If they could figure out a way to like get him in the continent, get him in a tournament or some kind of #1 contender way where he has to get a few matches in and kind of earn his way. It'd be cool to see them reignite that rivalry potentially. But just seeing Nigel in there, maybe even wrestling with Christian Cage because he's always giving him all this love and all that. Maybe seeing him join the patriarchy and getting Kill Switch out of there, rejuvenating that. Getting that faction with something a little more interesting and a little more grounded with a little bit more of someone that can wrestle and just has that star power, because what's his name? The Kid ain't got it. So I think they definitely need someone else to get in there to match Christian's energy. But this was such a fun match, man. And this is what I'd be talking about, where everybody's putting in the work, doing great wrestling maneuvers, playing to the crowd, playing off storylines, setting up things to come for the future, everything like that. And Hangman Page came in here like a fucking freight train. It was running through fools, man. Like he was just one-shotting everybody like Thanos coming into Wakanda in Infinity War, man. He was just going ham on these fools. It was insane. I thought he was about to come in and sweep this fucking thing. And I kind of wish he did. But either way, it was so fun to watch, man. And Orange Cassidy pulling off some great maneuvers. Okada doing his shtick, but still pulling off some great stuff. But yeah, Nigel definitely was the MVP of this match on like a wrestling level, I feel like. Hangman Page was right there with him. Ricochet came in here and just fucking stole the show for a while. Everybody did their thing. It was really fun to see. But the one element of the match that didn't necessarily ruin it for me, but did drag it down a little bit from being that super enthusiastic, crazy double thumbs up, like kind of rating level I'm kind of giving these things for whatever reason. But Christian Cage and Luchasaurus coming in, the last 2 competitors, and then Luchasaurus acting like he was going to betray Christian only to help him out, win again, fuck over everybody else in the process, and get him the title shot for the AEW World title at any time he sees fit, Money in the Bank style, because for some reason AEW has to be derivative of everything that WWE does, and they can't come up with their own ideas in a certain way sometimes. And I'm just saying, hey, y'all know it's true. I'm just being real. I love AEW, but I'm just calling it as a season, man, that they do be very derivative on certain things that they're doing with their events and things like that. And this is no different. It's a mini Royal Rumble, essentially. And while executed in a pretty cool way leading up to it, I just think that Christian Cage coming in and winning it this way, to me, was a little underwhelming. And I don't know, but we'll see where it goes. Him versus Bryan could be a hell of a lot of fun, because we all know now Bryan Danielson is the AEW World Champ. for the first time in his AEW career. Not retired yet. Going to be his final run right here, but at least he'll get to go out as champion, I hope. So it's going to be interesting. A program with those two could be really awesome to watch. A really fun match. Don't get me wrong there. So I think that's good. But I'm just waiting to see how they write the storyline build to it and see where things come into play and who else is in the kind of picture for the belt in general. Is Swerve going to get a rematch? He's going to go all in on Hangman because Hangman kind of interfered in the match as well that we're getting to. So there's a lot of really cool capabilities with this and some fallout that can happen with Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy potentially with the conglomerate, which is a fun group. I don't think it's necessarily the most effective faction, but kind of one of those temporary placeholder ones that could be fun for a while to deliver a fun dynamic we didn't see coming. Get some cool trios and group matches, which they've had some fun stuff going on, Dynamite and Collision. It's been cool. I like Mark Briscoe. Kyle O'Reilly and him kind of make a good comedic duo. I actually wouldn't mind them doing a tag team run. Belts or not, I think that'd be kind of a fun tag team in that division. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff going on here. And it's going to be interesting to see where the Christian Cage side of it goes. When's he going to cash that in? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But now it's time to get into another banger. And we're talking about Mariah May versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. And we all knew this buildup was going on for months now. Mariah May doing this whole months-long con to get the trust of Toni Storm and to just stab her in the back. And now she's coming for the belt. And I got to say, man, overall, I thought the wrestling was good in the match. It wasn't necessarily phenomenal, but the storyline and the character work in this matched with the choreography was really well done because Mariah May, unlike a Britt Baker, actually can deliver some really good matches and actually is a bit of a harder hitter than you would expect for someone her size. And I'm a slight person as well, so I could say that shit. But she be coming through and doing her thing. And I think her heel work, while her first promo was a little bad, I think her other promos have been much better. I think she's kind of finding her footing as this heel character. And the heel turn was great, and she played it off wonderfully. And Toni Storm's one of the best performers in AEW, bar none. One of the best wrestling performers today, man or woman, in my opinion. And her character work, well, been a little bit over the top at times. She still delivers great promos and delivers on the angles when she needs to every time. So for me, that also was really well done here because she was kind of beating that ass a little bit, but you could see the hesitation. You could see the conflicted nature of her, kind of being in love with her sort of in a way or whatever, but just her affection for Mariah May and all that getting in the way of it. And just the way they played up the drama and the storyline side of it, I thought was so excellently done, mixed with just good, solid wrestling that to me, it was still very engaging and I was all in on it, but I knew they had to give Mariah the belt, and they did on this one. They had to do it because if they try to build her up and get the AEW audience fully behind her as a women's competitor in this division, as a champion, and as someone that's going to portray pretty much your hottest female talent right now that actually delivers the matches that you need and gives you that hype, she had to come through and win the belt here, and I'm glad she did. And I'm really going to be interested to see, is Toni Storm going to get a rematch at any time in the near future? I'm pretty sure she will. Most of the big champs do. And I wonder who's she going to feud with next and who's going to be the next thing in the puzzle. Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker even. Who knows, right? Because Tony Khan's all in love with her. I would like to see her going against Deonna Purrazzo or even a Thunder Rosa. Bring in Mina Shirakawa and get her going in and get them like a two woman kind of like faction going on and maybe build out their own thing. I don't know. But there's a lot of interesting things they could do with Mariah moving forward in AEW. And I think her being the women's champ for a while is going to be really cool and fun to watch. She can really play well overall with the character work. So I think if she continues to improve that side of it and get those heel promos down and continue delivering the good wrestling and along with it, I think Mariah May could be one of the biggest women's competitors in here very soon, before not long, and maybe even potentially rival Toni if she can really build up her character up over the next 6 months to a year. Who knows where we'll be by this time next year when All In's going to be going down in Texas as opposed to London for some weird ass reason. Arlington, Texas, that is, in July, not even August. They're actually going to be doing Forbidden Door on August 24th or 25th of 2025. And then they're going to be doing AEW's All In Arlington, Texas, like July 15th of 2025, something like that. I'll double check and whatever. But y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's going to be some of the big next events going on next year. So who knows where the hell Mariah May is going to be at either of these events by this time next year. So I got a lot of big hopes for her. I think Tony Storm's definitely going to be around, and I can't wait to see what's next for her character and her as a competitor as well, and where they're going to take things next. But they always seem to be able to find cool stuff for Tony to do. So I'm not too worried about that myself. So this match was definitely a double thumbs up for me. I really, really enjoyed this one. But the two that we really got to get into right here, fucking MJF versus Will Ospreay for the American title, but really the AEW International title. The whole American hero gimmick thing that MJF's been kind of going into, being that real kind of what's the word? Being that really like obnoxious American that's just hating on all the international peoples and whatnot. I think has been really fun for his overall like heel persona, and MJF's been doing a great job with it. It's a little gimmicky with the American, flag suits and all that kind of crazy stuff. And I like the way that they actually designed the American title belt or whatever. It kind of reminded me of that mid 2000s US title over there in the old WWE, but had its own flavor to it as well with the gold and the bigger kind of configuration and kind of size that all the wrestling belts are today. They used to be a little bit slimmer and sleeker, it seems like, but they're kind of going for that bigger design now. But anyways, I digress. Old man talking, but but anyways, this match was a fucking banger, dude, delivering on all the storyline potential that's been building up to this phenomenally, by the way, over this past summer and the last few months. And the rivalry with him, with Will Ospreay and MJF has been so well done. Love the way MJF has just been making it super personal. And Will Ospreay just has to try to keep in the whole professionalism and all that, and the whole Tiger Driver being retired and him having to use it on MJF. The whole way that they built up to those moments was so well done. I think this was about a 30-minute match or so. And I think they kind of trimmed some of the fat off the first time they went against each other in that hour-long damn near match going on in Dynamite a few weeks ago for the international title. I think they did a better job at trimming the fat here, but still keeping the big moments and keeping the stakes high and getting you with those fun swerves and surprises. You know what I mean? Swerve when I drive, baby. But that was the fun stuff with this match. And this is what I'm talking about. When wrestling is done right and the character work is matching with phenomenal wrestling, great choreography, knowing how to play up to the crowd and how to pace everything, it's awesome, man. And it's just like you're on the edge of your seat. We all, I think most of us fans going into this figured Will Ospreay was going to win and get the big, get the big pop and get the big W in his hometown, get the crowd hyped and restore the international title. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened. They had all the fireworks and the pyrotechnics and all that crazy shit going on. He won the belt, didn't want to touch the American belt. They bring back the international, and now we can get back to doing things the proper way. And we got MJF set up with his rivalry with Daniel Garcia because he's back, as we all figured he would be by now, and I figured he would pop up at Wembley. They pretty much foreshadowed all that, but I think they did it in a great way and not an obvious way. So it was going to be great to see him and Daniel Garcia go at it, because Daniel Garcia is one of those people in AEW that I think is a bit underrated, where I think he delivers on the promos. He can do great wrestling. I think he's really good, and I think he should get a lot more shine. And getting with MJF in a great program can really do that, because MJF having that program with CM Punk, I think really rose MJF to new heights and even pushed him to have to deliver even more, because CM Punk isn't called the best in the world for nothing. You know what I mean? So those two going at it in 2022 and everything like that was so awesome. That's one of the best, grudges we've had in AEW. And I think MJF generally brings that out of people. So I think him and Garcia could just be like fire, lightning. We can go for the international, the AEW championship, whatever belts they want to get into the mix, put them in the Continental Classic. I don't care. Wherever they want to do with it, but I think wherever they go with it, it's going to be a good storyline, because it's rarely lame when they do stuff with Daniel Garcia and especially with MJF. So double thumbs up for me on this match. I can't wait to see where Will Ospreay is going to go in the international title circuit, who he's going to go up against next. You got All Out coming out in a couple weeks, so let's see. We'll see how they round that card out. They're going to have to do it pretty quickly, as they normally do, because they always seem to do these events real close to each other. So I think it's like September 7th or something, September 8th, if I'm not mistaken. They're doing All Out, I think. So we'll definitely have a recap for that event and see how that all plays off of this, because All In and All Out are definitely very related to each other, regardless of where the locations of the events are. So we'll see where it goes, but love this match. Double thumbs up. Banger. But we got to get into the fucking match of the year, dude. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World title. Phenomenal. Phenomenal, man. This is what I'm talking about. This is the reason why I watch pro wrestling, is stuff like this. The crowd, all 40, 50,000 of those people were on their feet, hyped up, into this shit, cheering on Swerve, cheering on Danielson, him having the whole fucking Rocky Apollo thing going on. where he's bloody, he's beaten, he's battered. You think he's just fucking out of it. And then he sees his family in the corner there. It fucking drives him. He gets the freaking psycho knees on this guy, but he has to do it even more times than usual because Swerve is the most dangerous man in AEW right now. And just the whole back and forth, everything going on. Fucking Swerve coming out with fucking with Bun B from fucking UGK. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Coming out with a fucking Southern rap legend, bro. Doing the Swerve song, doing a whole fucking remix in London in Wembley Stadium. Fucking awesome, man. I love how Swerve has those ties to the hip hop world because he is a rapper and MC and he is an entertainer. So him doing that, I thought was so dope, playing into both sides of his entertainment persona, if you will, and just builds on the mogul character that he's built for himself in AEW. And Swerve has quickly become one of my favorite people in AEW. I always dug him from the beginning when I seen him, but he just always got better and better. And the whole Keith Lee thing and the rivalry there, him versus Hangman, him versus all these different people, him versus Darby, every program he gets into with any wrestler, it's phenomenal matches, phenomenal characters, phenomenal promos every fucking time, breaking into Hangman's home and fucking up stuff. And it's just classic stuff that you love from wrestling. And he's really a student of the game, and you can tell that. And Swerve, to me, it's like MJF might be my favorite person in AEW right now. Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland. That's kind of like my top three, and for good reason, because Swerve has really risen to the occasion and been one of the best champions they've had in AEW so far. So it's kind of sad to see the reign end, but I think it's for a really phenomenal reason, and it's to get Bryan Danielson the gold, man. Get him the flowers that he deserves for all the work he's put in AEW and really bringing fans and bringing eyes onto the thing. He's a freaking modern legend right now, one of the biggest wrestlers of the modern era of the past 25 years and everything like that. Some people consider him the greatest. I consider him one of the greatest, no doubt. Maybe not the best, but one of them and one of my favorites. And he always delivers on the promo, always delivers in every match, no matter how big or small the competitor. He's a true workhorse. He really goes out there and puts in the work, fought through injuries, and really puts his body out there and puts everything on the line for the sport because he loves the sport and loves the show. So that's the thing with Bryan Danielson being the champion. I think is a great look for AEW. And is going to have someone that's consistent and great, like Swerve, like MJF, like Kenny Omega, even Hangman. I'm going to give that to him too. They just didn't give him his full due after the CM Punk stuff kind of fell flat. They just kind of ended it in a really awkward way and didn't really deliver, I think, a great ending for Hangman. But his reign was really good too. And I think people seem to forget and I think kind of leave him out of the conversation. But yeah, man, Swerve, Bryan Danielson, just phenomenal maneuvers, man. Just the house calls and the crazy physicality that they bring to the match. They both ended up stomping each other's faces in. It was just great stuff, man. And getting the freaking yes chants and everything like that. It was a phenomenal moment. We all knew they had to give Bryan Danielson his flowers on this one and deliver on kind of that wish fulfillment and that kind of fan service sort of thing. So that was a great way to end the event overall. And I just cannot wait to see where Danielson's reign goes. And I can't wait to see what happens with Swerve next. And I think he's definitely going to be a 2-time, 3-time AEW champion. If he continues to have this kind of run with the company, he continues to deliver like this and be over with the fans, he's going to be champion again within the year. I'd be shocked if not. And I hope they don't drop the ball with him, man, because Swerve really is one of those next great wrestlers of the next generation. I can see it. I remember being there for Randy Orton. I remember being there for Edge, John Cena, the guys that defined it for now. I remember seeing Danielson and CM Punk come into WWE. So I remember kind of seeing these great modern wrestlers that we know today. Moxley and I'm forgetting his name right now. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins when they came in as the Shield. I remember even catching some of that on some of the random Raws I would watch and seeing like, oh, wait, that's the guy that's related to The Rock and all that. And back when Moxley was Dean Ambrose. And I didn't follow up on everything every week, but I remember seeing like, oh, yeah, people seem to really dig these guys. I think they're kind of the next big thing, too. And this is what we're talking about. This is what wrestling fans want to see. We just want to see that great wrestling, the great work getting put in, and just seeing all the storylines and everything build to this climactic moment that almost makes it feel like you don't know where things are going to go and anything can go either way. And it almost makes you buy into the kayfabe again like you're a kid, you know? That's what you want to see from the stuff. And this was what I knew was going to deliver and be a great main event. And the second they set this up, I knew it was going to be awesome. Career versus title. Amazing stuff, man. It reminds me of when Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair at WrestleMania, except this time the OG didn't get retired, but that was a little bit more rightfully so because fucking Ric Flair was damn near 60 at the time. I think Danielson's got a little bit more gas left in the tank, but I think we'll have to call it hanging up within the next 6 months or something like that. maybe less, who knows? But it's going to be awesome to see where it goes. But that's pretty much it for AEW's All In, man. That's pretty much it. These are the matches, man. This is what was going down. AEW All In London 2024. Overall, really good ass event, man. I think it overall really delivered for the most part. A couple matches that I think were a little bit subpar, but overall, all the matches were good, and a handful of these matches blew me away and were phenomenal. So I do want to give AEW their credit. This is definitely one of their best pay-per-views this year, one of the better ones in a long time, and I think might actually have surpassed All In last year. So I definitely enjoyed it. I think it was worth the money I paid to watch the event. But I want to hear from all you wrestling fans out there. What did you think about this? If you got a chance to check it out, do you prefer AEW over WWE or vice versa? Do you like both as I do? I do think WWE has a better booking thing kind of going on with characters and whatnot right now, but I think AEW just delivers phenomenal wrestling every single week, unlike Raw and SmackDown, where I think some of the matches are great, some of them aren't, but the WWE pay-per-views are really firing on all cylinders, where I think AEWs are a little bit more mixed when it comes to the pay-per-views this year at least, but the week-to-week shows is where I feel WWE isn't as strong as AEW. So it's kind of like a toss-up right now, but I do want to give WWE their credit for the women's division. I think it's definitely stronger than AEW, but the singles I think are pretty much hand in hand. Tag team's a little better in WWE right now, but I don't think they're too far ahead of where AEW is at and where they can get to, because they have the talent to do it. I think they just got to get Top Flight, get FTR, and get some other fresher teams and really build this thing up. But overall, I really dug this event. Let me know if you want to see more wrestling content here on the channel. I'll be dabbling with it a little bit more. We got Bash in Berlin on the WWE side of things coming up this weekend, so I'll be covering that the following Sunday, or this coming Sunday or Monday, after I've got a chance to watch it and get this out to y'all. So hopefully by Sunday evening, or hopefully by Sunday morning or Monday morning, I'll have that out for you guys to check out as well. And then we got AEW's All Out right around the corner. And I'm not going to necessarily do week to week on that, but maybe sometimes on our weekly news show, What's the Word, we might do a little bit of wrestling coverage if some big things went down, or they have some big announcements for some of the events coming up or anything like that. We might toss some wrestling topics in there. But yeah, let me know if you really dig the wrestling stuff and if you want to see more of that implemented here on the channel. Just something we're experimenting with and trying out. So let me know if you dig it. Comment below what was your favorite match of the night and where you think some of these championships and where some of these storylines are going to go. I want to hear from y'all down below. But until next time, guys, we're going to see you this weekend for What's the Word, and we got some other cool content coming up for you. I think we're going to be talking about the Crow remake coming up here soon. I don't know how that's going to be. I haven't been hearing the best things about it, but you know we're going to keep the dopeness coming at you in full force. So until next time, peace out, much love, and we'll see you next time.